Hey everybody, it's Friday, the 4th of February, 2022. I'm going to ask you again, anybody still writing 2021? I know when I was a kid and I had to write all the dates all the time, sometimes until like March or even April, I'd still be writing last year's date. But when you're a kid, dates don't really matter. So I guess the weekends matter, but other than that. So how is everybody? This is called an AMA. My name is Kevin. As you can see here, I have it on my sweatshirt so that I don't forget what my name is. As you get older, shit happens with your memory. Nice to see everybody. You ask questions, I answer questions. That's pretty much how this works. We're going to try to keep this to a half an hour this week. I definitely have some points that I want to go through myself, but I have to find them. Maybe we're going to skip those this week. We'll see. We'll see if I have the ability to find those in time. Looks like our man Bill, first on the scene. Nice going, Bill. Very nice to see you here. Jen's coming in second. Nice graphic. Yeah, new graphics. You got to check out the new graphics. Check it out. Pretty cool. I feel like I'm in some type of Coinmetro factory, which I guess we are. This building is a factory. So is that part of the rebranding? And can you tell a little more on what's on the plan there? Yep, part of the rebranding. You're going to see more new graphics, new type fonts, new stuff over the next few weeks, including the new margin rebranding, including the new copy trading rebranding. Basically, you're going to see the entire brand from product all the way through website, through all the stuff that we push out on social media, etc., all under this new branding. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Nice. Definitely like to sit in between this. I wonder who's going to make a meme out of this one. What do you think? That last meme was really cool, though. I saw that on whoever did that one that they submitted to Discord. Right on, man. That was pretty amazing. New tokenomics today. Nope, not today. But we are getting very close. So there's a few things we're trying to work out to make sure that we can make these things, this new tokenomics release, as exciting as possible. Few, I would say, not necessarily regulatory or anything like that. That's usually much more difficult because we have to deal with the opinions of third parties. But just internally, exactly how we're going to make this work in terms of delivery and making sure that over time there are an amplitude of opportunities built into the Xtm Tokenomics. And we want to start the foundation with this first new release. So we're not quite there yet, but we're close. Nice Flux airdrop. Thanks. Yeah, I saw that was being worked on. Has it been completed? I haven't even checked, to be honest, but definitely has been worked on. I know a lot of people were talking about it in Telegram, kept poking and prodding about it. And I believe we did. It definitely was in process, that's for sure, over the last 48 hours or so. Thanks, Robin. My highlight of the week is being able to sit here and hear people say it's their highlight of the week. So I really do appreciate that. Can you sponsor my hometown soccer team? Hometown soccer team. Could we? I guess we could. Will we? I don't know. How do you think there's a reason for us to do it? I mean, do you think there's a bunch of loyal Coinmetro fans or a bunch of people really dying to meet Coinmetro in your local hometown? If that's the case, there might be a possibility. Who knows? BizDev news. Yeah, we mentioned that BizDev was kind of on hold at the end of last year, and into Q1 we would open up BizDev a bit wider. Right now, our back-end development kind of, I would say, backlog starts to somewhat free up end of March into April, but then we have a few things that are, I would say, quite hot topics we want to deal with in March and April. So I think for a lot of BizDev, you're going to see probably Q2 into Q3, though there will be a few things that will pop up here to there. Custody, for example, I think we're going to make some news about new custody providers that'll be coming into our ecosystem probably by the end of this quarter. I think we're also going to make some news about some new companies that we may already have listed, and some we may list in the near future, where we have a bit of BizDev going on, some continued BizDev with the Cadena team, which will be announced as well end of March. So there is most BizDev happening right now, I would say, is localized to companies we've already been working with, and maybe one that will come to fruition before the end of March. The rest, though, are going to be Q2 into Q3. And we'll have more and more news. But there is going to be some news coming for sure in terms of those internal BizDev projects. How do you comment comment on the recent XCM price war. 14 million traded, price didn't move. Price suppression or price support or both? Bots or humans? Well, there's always going to be some humans, that's for sure, regardless of how much. Most trading in the world outside of crypto in any market is automatic. It's automatic. It's electronic trading. I don't like to use the word bots so much, even though mostly on the retail side of the business, you always hear the word bots. Doesn't mean they're not bots. Let's just call it automated electronic trading. And yes, the vast majority of that volume, just like all volume in all markets, was done by non-humans. There definitely was humans in there, though, involved as well. I think my theory when we see those things is that essentially you have bots that are created, let's say, with not so smart rules. Doesn't mean they're stupid, but they're dumb rules. What does that mean? Well, dumb rules means when you create a new rule set, you don't necessarily know what you're going to face. You have an assumption. You may back test, but you don't necessarily know what's going to happen in a forward market. So you create a relatively dumb set of rules. So if top of book moves by X amount, I want to go inside the spread with my limit order, for example. Or something even simpler would be if price goes through the 200 moving average, 200-day moving average, I want to place a buy order when it comes back and touches it, or whatever. Those are relatively dumb rule sets. What happens over time is you get more and more data. You see how your bot is actually trading in the market, and you adjust those rules and make them smarter, make them more complex. There's also a thing about over-optimization, but there's obviously a thing about under-optimization. So what I believe happened is we have some relatively simplistic bots that were trading maybe 20 times a day, 50 times a day max. Then another bot came in that was a little bit more volatile and was moving price by adding and removing limit orders at different places, both on the buy and sell side of the book. When that happened, it triggered these other bots, like a snowball effect. Eventually, they were trading more. As they traded more, the more high frequency bot traded even more. As that traded more, the lower frequency bots traded more, etc. They were all trying to do the same thing, which was essentially market make and play with the spread and play with the top of book and basically try to front run each other to the top of book. And so that's why price didn't move that much, but we saw a tremendous amount of volume. Doesn't also mean that there was a major loser and a major winner. I think for the most part, it was generally neutral. So yes, there might have been some accounts that saw a loss. There might have been some accounts that won. Obviously, overall, it's always neutral. But what I'm saying is I don't think there was a major loss or a major win. I think more or less there were some small wins. There was one or two accounts that did better than others. But yeah, it's just I think it's simply one bot pushing another bot to trade more, simply because there wasn't any filters or any rule sets built into that bot to say, oh, by the way, if this happens, don't trade like a maniac. And now I bet, though, that whoever wrote that bot might add in that don't trade like a maniac rule set. Any update on Xtm Tokenomics? Not yet. No pressure. We definitely want to get this bad boy out to the public, not only the news of it coming out, but also getting it done. It's a high priority for us. Hey, thanks for the Flux airdrop. Yeah, so I guess we did get it done. Amazing. Thanks for being the best centralized exchange around. Well, thanks, Bendy. I appreciate that. I'm glad we got that to you guys before any additional airdrops might happen. Understand that it is every time we do this, it is a bit of a not the most straightforward affair to kind of ask for, collect, swap, and redistribute those assets. It's not something we want to do, every month, or not that it happens every month. But you get my point. It does take us some time, and we got them right before the holidays, and then we had a lot of stuff happen around the holidays and a lot of stuff we had to do. But I'm glad we got them out. Definitely want to get them out as soon as possible. Hi, Kev. What do you think about doing something similar to the quarterly reports public companies do with a focus on Coinmetro's user growth instead of financials? Well, I think we will get to the point where we are releasing financials as well. But yes, user growth might be a good thing. We're now starting, look, with kind of like a quick, when you grow very fast as a company, there's lots of things that you want to do. There's lots of things you should do. There's lots of things you absolutely need to do. And then you need to prioritize between, those three. And then there's things that happen that you have no control over, which usually happens pretty frequently with a startup and then a scale up. And I would define ourselves as a scale up right now. We've kind of gone through a lot of the startup heartache. Not that we still aren't going through some of it, but now we're in this scale up I guess, time period. And that's going to last probably for the next few years. So one of the things we want to do, should do, and eventually we'll have to do, is to formalize more our shareholder meetings. And I know all you guys aren't shareholders, but a lot of bondholders will become shareholders, I bet, at the end of this year. So that's definitely a lot of you that are listening to this will probably become shareholders, which is amazing. The information we give to shareholders, we will take a version of that, and I would love to release that publicly. And that's going to be some financials and some growth statistics. And I think it would be really cool to release those publicly. Enough information just so that everyone, including XTM token holders, including bond holders, including eventual equity holders, will be able to see how the company's doing. I think that'll be amazing. Plus, we'll be able to get really cool feedback, which will be great. So yes, absolutely, that's something that we're going to do. Can't really put a pinpoint of time on it. I would say during this year will probably be the first time we test something like that. Hey, Kevin, are you still confident on Cadena's 3-digit Flux high 2 digits for 2022? Your general opinion on current market conditions, please. Yes, I am. It's too early in the year, and for me to tell you that changes. I would say, for me at least, it hasn't changed a bit. Time frame is still relatively the same. Whether that 12 inside the next 12 months becomes inside the next 14 months, or maybe even 16 months, and I'm not saying that's what I'm thinking, doesn't necessarily change my view. I see the same amount of potential in Cadena and Flux as I saw when they were priced higher. In fact, that should never change, by the way. Price should never affect. If you believe something from a fundamental standpoint is a good investment, price shouldn't be the first thing that makes you think it's not. In fact, it shouldn't really weigh at all on whether you think it's a good investment. That doesn't necessarily mean you might sell some of your exposure to it. That's up to every investor. Some investors can handle volatility, some can't. Some take more profits than others. Some are long haul. And then every portfolio may have long haul bets, right? So you're buying into things that, regardless what happens, you're just sitting on your hands, you're closing the book, you come back in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Then you may have the section of your portfolio which is more your liquid portfolio, where you're moving in and out of assets, where you try to catch some highs and some lows, buy at a low, sell at a high, etc. So that really depends on your own investment philosophy. For me, though, Cadena and Flux still in my portfolio. I bought some more of both in this last drop. And if it dropped even more, I probably would buy a bit more. To be honest, it's just a sale. So there's no reason why that would stop me. Again, something going to zero, because somebody's going to have this in their head, right? Well, if it goes to zero, wouldn't that make you want to get out of it? Or it looks like it's crashing to zero. There's probably a fundamental driver for that. So, and the fundamental driver could be, I don't know, the owner gets convicted of theft and thrown in jail, or or what was this, Elizabeth Holmes, right? The Elizabeth Holmes type of scenario, or the WeWork type of scenario, where there's a fundamental issue at the business. And obviously at that point, no matter how compassionate I would be about the fact that I believe this company's going in the right direction, doing the right things, that would cause me pause, probably cause me to sell at least a vast majority of my holdings, maybe take a risk on some, before it eventually, went to zero. So price shouldn't be your guiding light. Fundamentals should be. Hey, Kev, what's been up with you this week for the embetterment of Coinmetro? Embetterment, it's a good word. Well, I've been dealing a lot with fundraising. Some pretty cool news, I think, coming out about that in the next 10 days or so. Maybe only on Discord. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You didn't hear it from me. And also some stuff on branding in terms of, mission, vision, and values, USPs, and all this great stuff. Kind of refining, not changing. I don't think Coinmetro has ever changed its overall high-level vision, but we've been refining it based on, the last 4 years. You kind of figure out what works, what doesn't. You kind of craft your narrative. And also working with marketing, working with growth, working with product, and working with other people, the board and other people inside the company, to make sure that we tweak those things to where we feel they are accurate as to where we are as a business. It's been a lot of effort there. Also, if you're a Coinmetro client or you've been onboarding lately, you do, after this kind of fraud we saw back in December, that we had to put some restrictions, tighten, clamp down a bit. Now trying to figure out how we move from there with the data we have to get back to normalcy and also be better, in betterment and bettering our onboarding flow, and from many aspects around the company. So I've been digging into that a bit as well. But an interesting week for sure. I had a good week, I think. It was Monday yesterday, literally. So usually when a week goes by pretty fast, it means it was a good one, hopefully productive. A tweet on KETH, KBTC, KUSD hints on a fully collateralized and backed one-to-one at Coinmetro. Any comment? You talk about BizDev, there's some BizDev for you. It's something that we're currently in talks with and working on in several ways to become a custodian for KETH, KBTC, and KUSD. So yes, that you hit the nail on the head with that one. Nice Twitter investigation. Is it safe to use Quant Tower to trade in Coinmetro? I don't use Quant Tower myself. I think Harold might have used Quant Tower, I believe. So I can't vouch for Quant Tower at all. I would say there's many systems. I've used systems like Quant Tower in other markets. Generally speaking, usually there's the only real risk. I mean, if you trade with a company that you're depositing through, there's always a risk. But if you're just using them connected to an API to use their charting interface to trade from, or their order interface to trade from, usually the worst thing, obviously, their system could go down, or there could be errors with their system. But Quant Tower, as far as I know, haven't really seen any major issues, at least recently. However, again, I can't really vouch for them. But one issue you may see is latency, whereas you may have additional latency. So if you're trying to really do any type of higher frequency, or you're really trying to pick the pocket of the spread, for example, it might not be the best way to do it. Is very soon part of the new branding? Hey, Kim. Yeah, actually, now is the new soon. But there's always going to be a bit of soon. And hopefully it's more very soon than not so soon. I kind of just confused myself. I got to take a nap on that one. Hey, Kevin, are you still confident? Yeah, already answered this one. And yep, still confident. Good to see you again. Was wondering if you could tell me when I will be able to trade with my MDCN. I have no idea with MDCN. That kind of looks like McDonald's China. So if McDonald's China has tokenized themselves, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe I should look into it, but you got to let me know what MDCN is, because I don't know. Good afternoon. It's Friday. Hey man. Good afternoon, Jack. Nice to see you. You're still in London, or are you back here in town? Hey Kevin, I'm dating a girl of questionable age currently. I have no idea what that means. Will I be able to run age of consent smart contracts on Coinmetro in the future? I don't really want to get involved in underage, dating apps. So I don't know if that's something specific use case we'd like to see if we ever went down this road. I don't know why you would need Coinmetro to do that. Is there some monetary value exchanged in your questionable age of consent smart contracts? Because if that's the case, we definitely don't want to get involved. But seems like it could be a pretty big business on the dark web. Maybe you should check there. Good question, I guess. Hey, Kevin, I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, more or less. Do you think Coinmetro will have a whale room community anytime soon? Yes. We listed them. We want to work with them. There will be some Coinmetro community or communities on Whale Room, and there'll be some other things we do at Whale Room in the future, which I think will be a benefit to both platforms. Any news? Also some BizDev, probably coming Q2, Q3. Any news on native Terra? That has been in release candidate since last week. Still some testing to do. As far as I know, the last time there was one of the assets, Mirror, maybe on the native side. We had a bit of more testing to do. I think next week you're probably going to see native Terra withdrawals and deposits. Yeah, definitely lower fees for those guys. That's for sure. When compared to Ethereum, absolutely. Hello, Kevin. What is your plan with the liquidity on Coinmetro? I really only want to use Coinmetro, but it's so difficult, almost no volume. If I want to buy or sell any bigger amounts. Well, Shark, understand that volume and liquidity are two very different things. So on most assets, we have liquidity providers, but they are dynamic, meaning that think of a liquidity provider as a credit card. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but let me give you a scenario. You get a credit card. You start using it a lot, and you have a 5,000 limit on your credit card. The credit card company calls you up and goes, you know what? You've been using your card a lot. You've been paying it off on time. We're going to give you 15,000 in credit now. You say, thanks. Do you want it? You say, yeah, sure. Why not? You never know. Maybe I could use it. But then you still only spend the 5K a month. A year goes by, credit card company calls you up again and says, well, you're still a great client. You've been paying that back, that 5K. But you know what? Since you're not using the other 10, we're going to go ahead and take it back. Now, why would they do that? Well, they only have a certain amount of credit they're willing to give. And if you're not using the credit, That's their business. That's like them loaning you a car and you not using it, thus not paying for it. They're just going to take the car back. Why would they let it just sit there and rot? Same thing with credit. You can think of the same thing, the same kind of idea with liquidity providers. If we send them an order for 100 million, they'll fill it. But if we send them an order for 5, they'll fill the 5. They're not going to give us 95 million just to show, because then they don't know if it's going to be used or not. Thus, they don't know how they can allocate credit to other platforms that they allocate credit to. So while volumes may still be small in comparison to other platforms, on most assets where we have liquidity, there's only a few assets that actually we don't get priced externally, XTM being one of them, for example. When they are priced externally, if you come with bigger volumes, I wouldn't use market orders right away because obviously it's dynamic. You don't want to get slipped. But you come with bigger limit orders that end up sitting in the book and activating as market orders, you will see them filled. So don't confuse liquidity with volume. You can have lots of liquidity and no volume. You can as well have lots of volume and no liquidity. So they're not mutually exclusive. They can exist by themselves. It'd be really nice, Shark, to know exactly what assets you're looking to trade. Maybe we can have a conversation about it. You can DM me at Kevin Murcko on Telegram. You can find me on Discord inside of our server at Kevin Murcko. You can also find me on Twitter. When do you think KDA is going to increase in price again? Well, speculating on when is kind of, you either always win or always lose. Let me give you an example. I can tell you today that KDA is going to, as soon, I can give you some technical. I can tell you, well, KDA right now, and this, don't take this fact, I haven't looked at a chart in a while, but I can tell you, well, KDA on the daily chart is currently trading around the 200-day moving average, and there seems to be some bullish divergence on the MACD, and some other oscillating indicator is showing bullish divergence. So I would expect that if we bounce off this current level and break, 620 euro, that the next step is going to be 9. I could give you all that stuff, and I can even try and pinpoint a date. Point is that it's not that type of show. Maybe we'll do a show like that, though. I could do a Tone Vase show. I could come on with a really fucked up haircut and talk about technicals. I can do that. Actually, I probably can't come on with a fucked up haircut because I don't have any hair to cut. But I could maybe have a fucked up beard cut or something. We could figure that out. Shave my name into the beard or something really retro. I don't know if that's retro or ghetto. I don't know which one it is. Anyway, point is that Katie, when do I think it'll happen? I think when fundamentals align. So when will fundamentals align? Well, you have to track. We have this nice little indicator in our dashboard, right? This Twitter indicator, right? The sentiment indicator. It's actually a pretty good tool. It tells you how many people are talking about Cadena. When that was really high, price was high. When it fell off, price fell off. Make sense? Well, yeah, of course it makes sense, because the more people see Cadena in the public, the more people get interested in Cadena and buy Cadena. So sentiment is a big thing. Sentiment will lead to higher price will lead to higher volumes, higher price, more sentiment will lead to more listings on larger platforms will lead to more trading volume, which will lead to higher prices. So I'm not going to pinpoint a date for you. What I will say is watch fundamentals, watch how people talk about Cadena, watch how they're talking about Cadena. Good morning, Kevin. Love Coinmetro and your MAs. What are your thoughts on Meta capping the bed? Wow, Nick, I don't know. Capping the bed. I've never heard that one before. I don't know. Was that Australian? Is that UK slang? I'm usually pretty good on this type of stuff, but capping the bed. I guess you're referring to Meta as in Facebook, basically saying that they're no longer going to go after stable coins. I guess that's what you're talking about. Or you're talking about the fact they lost, 10 billion on the metaverse? I think I mentioned the metaverse side of this is not interesting to me at all, because I mentioned the fact that the only reason Facebook probably will succeed with the metaverse. But the only reason they will succeed is because they can spend and you lose billions for the next 5 to 10 years. And what they'll do is lure small companies in to think, oh, well, Facebook's doing it. Oh, Meta's doing it. I can do it because we're better than them. And they will all go out of business because they won't have the funding or the capital that Facebook has. And then eventually Facebook will buy up all the good properties. And in 5 or 10 years, metaverse will be a thing. And you'll be like, oh, Facebook is so amazing. No, Facebook lost a lot of money in order to bankrupt a lot of companies, in order to buy them cheap and come to market. That's a very common strategy in big business. Happens all the time. That's what they're doing right now. So if that's what you're talking about, that's my opinion on that one. If you're talking about the fact of stable coins, that one, they're definitely going to come back with another play. I think they had the guy that was leading Libra, which then turned to Diem. I think Diem. They changed the name of the DM. Anyway, Libra was structured like a foreign sovereign central bank. So obviously central banks jumped all over them and said, are you kidding me? We're not going to let you do this. And to be honest, some for good reason. And then they said, okay, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way. And then the guy just who was trying to run that program got fed up and left to do something else. So they were kind of left in shambles. They just let it go. They will come back, not calling it a CBDC. They might not even call it crypto, but I guarantee you with their metaverse play, and I guarantee you with some of their other infrastructure like Instagram, like WhatsApp, there will absolutely be digital assets flowing through those platforms. Whether they initially partner with a company, like maybe who are these stablecoin guys? Paxos. Maybe they partner with Paxos, somebody similar, show how it works, not have to worry about the regulatory burden, and then buy Paxos, shut them down, and/or just copy Paxos and do it themselves. So it's going to happen. I think they're just playing a little head fake. Are you adding any new coins, tokens in the upcoming months? We absolutely will, Jamal. Our listing strategy is very unique. We don't list shit. We try not to list shit. I shouldn't say we don't, but we try not to list shit. We go through a very unique process of getting to know the company, getting to know the founders, getting to know what the company does, understanding what the asset does, making sure there's a product market fit, then bringing the asset onto the platform and working directly with the issuer to create new products, new services, and new solutions for our community and theirs. We can't do that with 10,000 assets. We are not Binance. We are not Coinbase. You won't see us list 10,000 assets just to try and wreck you on every single one and take all your money. That's not what we do. We painstakingly try to find things that line up with our values, with our mission, with our vision, make sure we're going in the same path, and then provide value to their communities as well as ours. And so, yes, we will be adding new things in the upcoming months and weeks and years, but don't expect us to have, 100,000 assets, Shiba Inu and Safe Moon and all these other, bullshit projects that exist in crypto. Your dislike for Silvio Macaulay aside, when will you list Algorand? Algorand will probably make it at some point onto the platform. Yeah, I mentioned I didn't like him. That doesn't mean a thing. I'm adult enough to understand that I don't have to like somebody to work with them. So fine, whatever. I just figured I'd tell you guys. I'm pretty transparent. I didn't like him. Maybe when I meet him the third time, third time's a charm. Maybe he's going to be a charmer and we're going to hit it off, and maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, Algorand will make it more than likely at some point if they continue on their current growth that they've seen. I can't give you a date, but I'm not against listing it. It would be cool to see them offer some kind of tradable tokens that track the price of multiple crypto like an ETF. Yep, there is the issuers of those things generally would have, if it's decentralized, it's more difficult, but obviously if it's centralized, they're going to have issues with regulatory issues more than likely. I think we may actually go down the track of creating something like this along with our ETCFs, but it is going to require some more regulation, more licensing from our side. But it's not a bad idea. At the same time, I'm going to go back to this one. At the same time, Coinmetro, as it grows, I think becomes more of a holistic, we want to help you to help our business grow. And I'm not sure that really intricate financial instruments really fit into that model. I'm not saying we wouldn't do it. I'm saying that while I'm a finance guy and I think these things are cool, I think we need to see how they operate in the jungle and then figure out how we can create a better experience with something similar but more understandable for our user base. What do you think about the FATF? How do you think about how the FATF handles gray listing? It seems like being gray listed forces citizens of gray listed countries to use unregulated companies because they have no other option. Yeah, nobody likes that process. FATF doesn't like that process. The problem is what type of process should you use? For example, let's say a country is gray listed for whatever reason, economic reasons, right? Gray listed. But you allow all citizens to still interact, which seems pretty fair, right? You blacklist or graylist some individuals that are tied to some actions, should let everybody else go. What happens? Well, corruption happens, coercion happens. So now people who can't move their money or organizations who can't move their money find people who will do it for them, either by force or by them volunteering and getting paid to do it. And so most of the time when there is a FATF gray listing, most companies, now FATF isn't the world police, right? So when FATF says this country's gray listed, that they don't come to Coinmetro and say, you can't do business in this country. But what happens is is our banking providers shut off access to that country. Why did they do that? Were they told you can't do business in this country? No, they weren't. But the risk involved in doing business in that country at that point becomes a possibility. It becomes possible that they could lose their licensing. And so because of that, instead of continuing to do business, they decide not to. It's just the easiest way to go about it. And thus you get this domino effect where banks don't do business. We can't do business because we can't take money in. We have things like Chainalysis to start flagging things. We have banking providers asking us, well, we know you're not taking cash from this country, but what about crypto? And so it becomes an issue. Unfortunately, to get out of that issue means a restructuring of how this entire system works. And that unfortunately takes a long time, but no one likes the process. There just hasn't been a way yet to figure out a better one. CBDCs potentially are a way to do that. How? Well, if you have evidence of every money movement in a public ledger, then if you have this person is sanctioned and the country at the country level, the government agencies are sanctioned, you can easily see if they're moving money to someone who isn't. Right now, we can't do that because it's private records through banks and or cash and or whatever, which is untraceable or simply not available, information that's available to the public. So CBDCs could potentially help with something like this. Of course, they would be, well, actually not CBDCs, stablecoins. Stablecoins accepted globally as a means of moving value because the CBDC would still be issued by the central bank of the potential government that's graylisted. Jesus, that was like a little jig. Somebody's gonna make a meme on that one too. Would you add a social media aspect to Coinmetro, like a chat page for every asset? That was something we talked about years ago. Actually, we did have a chat interface on one of our old platforms, but that connected to Telegram. I think we need to build the community by about 5 to 10x, and then that might become because if not, there's just not going to be enough reason to be there. New question. I really like the EncryptGen project. Are there any updates on planned developments? I don't have a lot of information because I haven't chatted with EncryptGen in a while. I know that they recently sold the business. There was a bit of M&A. I know that they have some cash flow because of that. I also know they have some plans to generally grow their database, profitability, etc. But I know about as much as anyone would know sitting in the EncryptGen chats. So that's a good question for the EncryptGen community. Hopefully they can fill you in a little bit more. Wonderful explanation on KDA and Flux. I trust the fundamentals. Thank you for that. You're very welcome. I'm going to take a few more questions. We're trying to compact the show into roughly a half an hour. Already gone over, but I like the questions, so I'm going to continue a few more. Do you use any special software to run these AMAs, or if you're broadcasting on YouTube, can you select questions to answer natively? Yeah, both and both. So yeah, I use something called StreamYard. So check them out. It's relatively easy to use. I've used all the more complex solutions, different streamcasters and softwares. This is relatively light. It's web-based. It's just easier to use, and when you're in a rush, you can do it from anywhere. And yeah, I can pick and choose questions as they flow in from both YouTube, Twitch, and I believe from Twitter as well. I just see them all in a panel. I click, it pops up, you see it. So pretty easy to use. What are your thoughts on Solana? It appears they have multiple assets with outages, hacks, smart contracts. I don't like Solana. I mentioned that some time ago as well. Too centralized. I'm not against centralization, obviously, to a certain extent. However, I don't see why they are as popular as they are, considering the fact that there are other options that for most business applications and for most, especially crypto business applications, that Solana just doesn't fit. So I'm not a big fan of Solana. Hey, Kevin, when will the work on transfer to Terra wallets be completed? I believe that's going to happen next week. It's been in RC, our release candidate testing, since last week. So plan to list Casper. Not at the moment, but I'm not really sure what Casper is. So you can always DM me that. Good morning, Kevin. Is it true KBTC, KCD, all these wrapped assets will be fully collateralized and back 1-to-1? Yeah, that's pretty true. It's coming up. End of this quarter is where we're end of this quarter into next quarter is what we're aiming. Big project, working together, some biz dev with Cadena. So someone already asked. Well, I answered twice, so whatever. I have a queue about Hedera. Do you think their technology could disrupt current crypto world? Also, will be on Coinmetro. Hedera will probably make its way into Coinmetro at some point. We have a lot to go in this year, so potentially could be this year. I don't know. I don't think Hashgraph could disturb the crypto world. I think Hashgraph and technologies like it that try to solve the scalability and some of the other issues that exist on some some other protocols potentially will provide value outside of crypto. I mean, crypto, meaning the exchange of assets, won't get disrupted by Hedera. It may get maybe bettered by something like Hedera, but I don't think it's going to disrupt it. But the blockchain and blockchain for use as an information technology, things like Hashgraph can definitely maybe not disrupt or disturb, as you said, but could change. I don't see much of that yet, but it's a possibility. I think MDCN was the MD share from the Invest platform, maybe. Maybe, yeah, I don't know, Violet. Your guess is as good as mine there. I just wanted to let you know my boyfriend always watches your AMAs, and it annoys me. Greetings from Finland. Sorry, Emma. I don't know what to tell you. I still have to do these things every week. Maybe what you should do is just set your boyfriend's laptop on fire. It's just, I don't know, maybe I just throwing ideas off the top of my head, so, but yeah, if you set on a fire, have some water handy. You don't want to set the whole house on fire, just a laptop. I don't know. Or, get some malware or something. Find out what your boyfriend likes to look at on his laptop. Actually, you know what? Don't look at his history. I don't want you guys to break up, so don't bother doing that. How high will XTM go in the long term? That's a great question that I can't answer, but what I will say is the better we do as a business, the more people support us like you guys, the better we will do internally, the better we will do externally. More than likely, the better XTM will do. Make sure you give some praise to the UI team. Exchange is looking clean. Also, any hits on rebranding. Yep, product, UI, UX, design, everything coming together, guys. Looks really cool. I agree. Definitely lots of praise to everybody on the team and every other team too. Compliance, support, marketing, finance, every single team. Did I miss anybody? Administration, everybody. It's a piece of everything. So, the UI wouldn't be able to be pushed out if it wasn't for technology and development. It wouldn't be able to be done if it wasn't for the artists and everybody doing it. It wouldn't be able to actually be pushed out on a platform if it wasn't for all the pieces that are delivered to that platform, which is support and which is compliance and which is legal and all these things. So, and marketing, because you wouldn't have seen it maybe. Well, maybe some of you would have seen it without marketing because historically we might not have had a lot, but definitely more people coming in because of marketing. So absolutely. Rebranding, well, you're getting hints right here. You're going to get more hints. You got more hints on social media, more hints coming as the weeks progress. How did you as a trader make money in a bear market? Buy low. I think as a trader, we trade within a range. So there's always ranges. I tried to be kind of picking tops and bottoms when I was a trader, and that's not easy. And yeah, you might get one every once in a while, but unless you have really, really unique money management, you probably won't end up making so much money over time. But hodling, figuring out when to buy and holding, follow the fundamentals, maybe look at a bit of technicals to see where the range is sitting. If you need that, buy at the bottom of a range, sell at the top of the range intraday, hold a portion of your portfolio long-term. It's buy low, sell high. I mean, that's the simplistic way of saying it, but what's my favorite number? The first one that popped into mind, I'm not going to say because it's not even my favorite and it's going to come off really weird to everybody. So I'm not even going to say it. I would say 0 is probably my favorite number. That might sound weird as well, but if you're into mathematics, 0 is a fascinating thing. No Kevin Murcko, Inu coin then. Yep, no Kevin Murcko, Inu coin, sorry. Most of new coin list and CM are gold mine. Well, we've been pretty good at this point being a gem exchange, picking things that do well in the market. That doesn't mean everything's going to do well, though. Long shot, but art NFTs have been a place for mostly digital art, memes, online culture. Do you believe that photography and more traditional arts have a place in the NFT realm? NFT for art will be all types of art. It'll also be a way to verify your art, physical art, is real. There'll also be artists that will take physical art, sell the physical art, and give an NFT with it, both for a certificate of authenticity, but also so that there's ways to sell the art without having to actually sell the physical art. So yes, absolutely. Photography will be a thing. Video is already a thing. So why not photography? NFTs, though, will have a long history outside of art. Non-fungibles can do a lot of things in finance, for example. Would CM consider UST fiat and off-ramps? Yeah, that is not only considered, but it's going to come out when we have deposit and withdrawal in native Terra, absolutely, and staking and all those things. They're coming. How credit cards coming along? You mean debit cards, I assume, because we already take credit cards. Issuing of debit cards is going to be Q2, Q3 this year, probably early Q3, I believe. Hey, Kevin, have you looked at as zero? I haven't. I've seen it around. Haven't really looked into it, but I'll try. DM me something that you think is unique, and I'll take a look. Your thoughts on internet computer? I have no thoughts on internet computer. I have a computer, and it's on the internet. That's about as much as my thoughts go on that. What is the most challenging thing about running the most challenging thing about running a centralized exchange or any business is people. That's it. People. Businesses are people. Businesses wouldn't exist without people. The core of a business is its people, and managing people is never easy. So the hardest thing about managing any business, central exchange or other, is people. Because when I have to go talk to a regulator, I talk to people. When we have an issue internally about tech, who solves it? People. When there's a problem, anything, it's all people. So people, simple as that. You find the right people, things are easy. You don't have the right people, things aren't easy. That's how it works. Any insight on Anchor Protocol on Terra and their 20% yield issues? Nothing. I did mention many times that 20% wasn't going to last forever. It is impossible. It will change over time. I don't know specifically about what you're talking about, but maybe next week we can dive into that a bit more. I'm going to leave it there. He means ICP coin. I don't even know what that is. Sorry. I'm going to leave it there. And it's been 40 minutes. I got through all the questions I think that were listed. So that's amazing. Normally we used to do these for an hour. We're going to try to compact a bit. Usually I had some things as well to mention just generally about Coinmetro. I just probably wasn't as prepared as I should be today because I was running from meeting to meeting and didn't catch my slides where usually I have this information. So next week there'll be a double dose for everybody. Maybe I'll share these on the weekend in Discord. Why not? And we also have an idea that maybe next week, we're going to do it this week, but the last 15 minutes of every AMA is going to transfer over to Discord probably from now on. And this way we can get more interactivity on Discord, which I think will be really cool. So thank you everybody for being here. Thanks for all your great questions. What is this? Are you jumping my questions? I didn't see any questions from you, Tammy. Let me see. I'm going to scroll back through. Let me look for Tammy. Tammy. Nope. Not one question in my list from Tammy. Maybe there's some automatic filtering that happens. I have no idea. But Tammy, if you have a question and I didn't get to it, tag me on Telegram at Kevin Murcko, tweet me at Kevin Murcko on Twitter, or find me in our Discord server at Kevin Murcko #8888, something like that. So you can hit me up there and I'll answer your question. One first voicemail in Discord. It's coming, man. It's coming. I've been getting ready. Plus, I kind of got to figure out how to do it. So anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. If you can't spend time with friends and family physically, do it virtually. I notice a few countries now are getting rid of restrictions. So Finland has come back to sanity, as has, I believe, Denmark and the UK. Yay! Human race is now thinking outside the box. So hopefully we'll start to see that in Estonia as well. I hear some inside information. We might see that happen by the 21st. So that's sounds really good. I'm ready to burn all my masks and do some type of chant in a circle while I roast marshmallows about never having to wear a mask again. Anyway, everybody, have a great weekend. Again, when you're burning your masks, when your country also goes back into the sanity level of the I'm fully crazy and I'm too sane to be a human being, when you're burning your masks and chanting, make sure you chant XTM, XTM, XTM. If you can make the smoke look like XTM as it goes up in the sky, that'd be amazing. Tell your friends, XTM is amazing. And XTM is the reason that we're finally turning the corner on all this global ridiculousness. Yeah, we all believe that. Okay, so have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for being here. See you guys on Telegram and Discord. Talk to you soon. Cheers.